right, good morning, guys. Welcome to City Hall. Oh, that's not good enough. Come on, it's field trip day on Friday. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, well, we're very excited that you're here. This is one of the most interesting and hopeful things that we get to do as your city staff. This is a chance for us to showcase to you our future leaders about your city so that you can learn more, participate more, and maybe some of you will be inspired to then come and work in municipal government or state government because continuing your leadership that you're learning in class now is important for our future as well. So I want to thank you all. My name is Arlene Hunter, and I'm the city manager, and I've been with the city a long time. Probably about 16, 17 years. I started when I was 12, so don't do any math of my age. I have 3 children. I have a daughter graduating Bonita Springs High School this year, but she went from kindergarten to 8th grade at Bonita Springs Charter School. And I have twins, Austin and Lily, who are in 2nd grade right now, and this is their first year in separate classrooms. So, and I do see some familiar faces out there as well. So, we're excited to have you here. What we're going to do now is each of us are going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, our educational background, and how we got into the positions that we have, and a little bit about what those positions do in the city. And then we're going to give you a tour of City Hall, and you all will then act as mayor and city council members and members of the public, which many might say is the most important position that you'll have today. And you'll conduct city council meetings just like we do up here. So please ask as many questions as that come along. We're here to help you understand, learn more about your community. I'll give you a little background on the city. The city was incorporated December 31st, 1999, so we're sort of a newer city, but we were incorporated back into the 1920s, and we didn't pay our light bill. So the city turned itself back into Lee County, and we were part of unincorporated Lee County for many years before that. We are what's called government light, which means we do not have our own police department, but I know you all have a SRO officer, don't you, at your school? And we have what's called community policing. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here today because they're at a funeral in Fort Myers, but they did send their regards to you all. And if you have any follow-up questions from your class on law enforcement or how LCSO works, they're happy to give you any background information on that as well. So we have a contract with the Lee County Sheriff's Office, and they provide policing within the city. We also don't have our own fire department. Some cities have their own fire department. There's a separate board that's elected each election season. That's the board of fire commissioners, and then they have a fire chief who runs our fire department. We also don't have our own water and sewer. That's Bonita Springs Utilities, and that's another separate board that gets elected. So, but we do all of the parks, our municipal roadways. We issue permits for buildings, so if your parents ever have to get a new roof or something happen after Ian or Irma, they would go through our community development department. So all these folks are here to kind of give you a little bit more information about that. My background is I grew up on Sanibel, and I went to school in Fort Myers, high school in Fort Myers at Bishop Rowe, and then I went to Florida State University. At Florida State, I got my undergraduate degree, and then I went on to get my master's degree in urban and regional planning. From there, I worked for the city of Quincy for a little while. I was their community development department director. I also worked for the state of Florida for a little while, but then I came back down here by my family, and I started with the city of Bonita Springs. And my first job with the city was special events and park coordinator. So have any of you all been to Holiday in the Park or Celebrate Bonita or performed on stage at the park? So when I started with the city, we were just redoing that stage. That used to be where, I understand there used to be ball fields there before I started with the city. So, and so that was my first position. And then I had the opportunity to move up to be the director of development services. And at the time, the city was going through a recession. So I was able to work with businesses on some small grants that we did, and we were working hard to keep the small businesses from closing their doors at the time. We had some incentive programs, and then the council approved different regulations, different ordinances to help those business operate more efficiently and more smoothly. We did some fee waivers and things like that to try to help during the cushion that kind of time. So the city council has to adopt to the conditions in the economy, whether they're federal or state or local. There has to be a continued adoption to that. And that's why it's so ever flowing and changing. From that, I had the opportunity to apply to be the assistant city manager. I got to shadow the assistant city manager who was retiring for about a year. And then in 2018, I had the opportunity to serve as the city manager. So I've been able to stay here and grow my career and kind of have roots in the community as well. My husband works for Lee County Sheriff's Office, and he was born and raised in Bonita and went to Bonita Middle. He went to Spring Creek Elementary, Bonita Middle, and then he went to Estero High School. So, and now we have a beautiful new high school, which the city also worked with the school board as well. And you have Bonita Springs High School as another option, because before that, you all went, everyone here went to Estero High School. So, that's just a little background about the city and about my background. But like with that, I'm going to turn it over to the mayor to say a few words to you as well.
Okay. Well, good morning. It's a beautiful day in Bonita. I'm your public servant. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I work for the people. I ask the people to vote for me so I can work for them, for you all. These people work for her, basically. But she's a great manager. She's a fabulous manager and works hard. You know, all these people, we all work together for you, the people of Bonita Springs. That's why we're here. No other reason but to make your Bonita better. And if you get a hard time from a city employee, you let me know, because I'll whip them. I'll smack them around. You got to be nice. But the mayor runs a 4-year term. I'm going to start my 3rd year. I could run again, so a total of 8 years possibility. But then that's it. No, like Arlene and these people have been here for 15 years. So I'm just a bump in the road, so to speak. I'm the fifth mayor in the city in 23 years. So I'm a temporary custodian of the city. So, but these people do all the work, and we just set policy. The policy is we're going to make a better Bonita for everybody. So thank you so much for coming. You got a busy day ahead of you. Thank you. Here you go, Arlene.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have another council member who will be coming shortly, and when we do, we'll have him introduce himself as well. But at this time, I'll have John Dahmer come forward and give you a little background on community development.
Good morning. I'm John Dolmer, in charge of community development, and that means we handle long-range planning, we do zoning, all the things that you read in the paper where you say everybody's upset because a project was proposed at some place in the city. That's the stuff we normally handle. We also do building permits and environmental studies. I kind of wound up here because I was in political science in college, and then got a master's in public administration, worked for a couple of engineering firms, a commercial developer, and then this job became available. So one thing leads to another. But so what you see around most of the time when people are doing construction projects, we've been working on those for probably 6 to 8 months before anybody goes out there with any equipment, with permits and how they design a site and how it's supposed to look, and how all the water and sewer and utilities are supposed to hook up to the buildings. And so usually by the time you all get to see it, we're tired of looking at it because it's been in our office for almost a year. So does anybody have any questions on community development before we get going? No? Yes, sir.
Besides the construction projects happening right now, what else are you wanting to do?
Most of what we do is reactive. So most of the time, while we will plan for the future in terms of where utilities will go and where we work with Public Works on where infrastructure is going to be installed 10, 20 years out, most of what we're working on are applications that people file in our office. So we look at things when other people are wanting to do them. So it's not so much where we're wanting projects to go, it's more where people are trying to get projects to get built. Right. Here's Matt Feeney.
Good morning. I'm Matt Feeney. I'm the city's assistant city manager as well as the public works director. And I'll explain that in a minute. So I'm from Fort Myers. Moved there as a kid. I went to the same high school Arlene did, Bishop Verot. And then I went to Notre Dame up in the cold part of the country in Indiana. So from there, I did ROTC when I was in college, which is a program with the military. I was in the Navy. I was a surface warfare officer, which is a fancy term for a ship driver. And so I lived out in San Diego for a couple of years on a ship, and then in Japan for 2 years in charge of some hovercraft. Excuse me. From there, I came back home and I worked for the town of Fort Myers Beach a very long time ago during the last hurricane that affected it, Hurricane Charlie. And I worked there for a few years. I built some kind of public works type projects about where the sailboats are out in the water. And then I decided to work in the private sector, which is non-governmental. And I worked for a construction company locally, and then ultimately for a large construction company out in Texas that deals with gas and oil pipelines. I did that for the better part of about 7 years, and ultimately wanted to come back home. And this opportunity opened up to be the public works director here in Bonita. So I came about 10 years ago to do that. What does public works do? We build roads. We put the trees on the roads, all the landscaping that you see. We do drainage projects to get water off of the streets, rainwater, or flooding water, like when the Imperial River flooded. You may not remember a few years ago with the last hurricane that it flooded. We designed projects to try and prevent that from happening in the future. We also try to clean up the water, which means getting pollution out of the water so that we don't have things like red tide happening off of our beaches. We try to make the water cleaner so that that doesn't occur. And then, I don't know what else we do. Roads, water, drainage, landscaping. I'll go into more detail when you go through the tour. From there, I had the opportunity as we changed leadership here and Arlene moved in to be the city manager. She was kind enough to extend an offer for me to be the assistant city manager. So in that realm, I helped the city as well. So I retained the public works lineup, and I also then work as the assistant city manager. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Guerrero with Bonita Springs Neighborhood Services, formerly known as Code Enforcement. Touching on what Arlene said, similar background as her husband there. I was born in Bonita, went to school in Bonita, elementary school, charter school as well as Estero High. How I ended up in this position was really at Bonita Parks and Rec. I don't know if some of you have probably gone after school there to the recreation center. They're actually hiring, by the way, so if your parents want a part-time gig, you can go there. But that's really how it was. I mean, I've been in Bonita my whole life, played basketball there at the recreation center, so I've kind of always known the staff that's kind of come and gone from there. Saw that there was an opportunity to work at the front desk, and then just transitioned outside to maintenance department. And then one of the gentlemen from code enforcement at the time let me know that there was a position open. So if there's anything that you could take from everything that we're saying is once you get established in your community, it's all about networking and kind of just branching out to see what fits you guys. Growing up, can't say that this is what I envisioned that I wanted to do. Some of my hobbies include just technology, tinkering around with computers. What else? So yeah, everyone kind of built themselves up to be real nice and whatnot. Sometimes we're not that well liked out there. Can anyone guess what code enforcement does? Yes, you. What was that? No. So kind of like the IRS, nobody wants to see us show up at their door. Typically, if residents, so if your mom and dad's not getting along with the neighbor, or they notice people building stuff without permits, cars that are unregistered, someone's not cutting their grass anymore, they typically call our department. We get to knock on the door, they get to see our lovely faces, and then we have to work with the residents to find some kind of resolution. Again, it's all about networking, building relationships with the residents and your peers and whatnot. Does anyone have any questions about what else we do? No? Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. How are we? Good? Everybody okay? All right. My name is Jesse Felger. I have the opportunity to work for the Parks and Recreation Department. So I'm the pool manager. A little bit about me. I grew up in northern Indiana in a bunch of cornfields. And after I went to high school, I kind of got into lifeguarding. And then I decided, boy, this is a nice gig. If I can just do this throughout my entire life, I'll be set. I'll be good. So I really enjoyed it. I went to college, and as I was in college, there wasn't really any route for like a pool manager or any aquatics things. So I decided, I talked to my professor at the time. I was a lifeguard at the college. And I said, hey, this is kind of what I want to do. What certifications do I need? How can I go into this route? And he kind of mentored me and helped me out, and I got some certifications. Directly after that, I moved down to sunny Fort Myers, Florida, so that was a new change of pace for me. And pretty shortly after I moved, I found the city of Bonita Springs, where I started as a lifeguard. And now I moved up into a lead lifeguard position and now the pool manager. So is anybody familiar with the community pool? Has any ever been there, right next to the middle school off of Terry Street? Is anybody taking swim lessons there? Yeah, a couple. Nice. Does anybody remember this face? Did I teach anybody in this class? I've been around long enough where you might think that I look maybe familiar. So that's one of the things we do. We teach swim lessons. We teach adults to swim. We refine strokes. We do all sorts of fun. We just teach people how to enjoy the water and create a safe environment for you guys to enjoy. So the overall parks department here, does anybody know how many parks we have within the city? Who thinks over 10? Who thinks under 10? We have 23 parks in the city of Bonita Springs. So like every great city has a great park system. So if you're thinking New York City, you think what park? Central Park, right? If you think Chicago, you think Lincoln Park. If you think Los Angeles, you might think Griffith Park. So every great city has a great park system, and I'm happy to be just a small part of that. Okay? Any questions for me? Everybody good? All right, Miss Laura.
Thank you. And he is not telling any fibs there, because my nieces go to get swim lessons and they are phenomenal. So if you have little sisters, little brothers, make sure you guys go to the pool and see them. So I'm going to start with you, and I'd like to hear from you. Just raise your hand if you want to talk, and let me know, do you know what you want to be when you grow up at this stage? Okay, go ahead.
I would like to be a politician when I grow up.
Okay.
I want to be a civil rights and immigration lawyer, and later advance to being a judge on the Supreme Court.
I want to be a voice actor and a singer.
Fun. Okay. You pass this down.
I would like to be a writer.
Anyone else? Okay.
I would like to be a doctor that studies bacteria and viruses.
Anyone else?
I would like to be a lawyer, but one day be in the government.
Okay. Did I miss anyone? You guys really know your stuff. You already know exactly what you want to do. It's awesome.
An animal wildlife biologist.
Very cool. Anyone else? Okay. The reason I asked that question is I'm going to take you back to my 7th grade year. So I grew up in Kentucky, northern Kentucky, and my middle school was connected to our high school. So there were different buildings, and you could kind of walk back and forth to visit different classes. I had a project that I was working on, and the project was we took photographs, and we had to create kind of like a video with photographs. You would hold this huge camcorder. Back in the day, they were were very big. Kind of like do you guys know what radios are? Like the old school radios? Okay. Kind of like that. So we put it on a tripod and we put it towards the pictures. And then we put music. We just played the radio, like with a cassette tape. Like, I'm really showing my age here, but play, stop, to create this project. And I really enjoyed it. I loved telling the story. So my teacher at the time, his name was Mr. Dolan. I'll never forget him. He said, hey, I want you to meet someone. And he walked me across to the high school, and he introduced me to Mr. Kraft, who was our radio and TV teacher. I spent 4 years as an elective in radio and TV, and my senior year of high school, they allowed me to have the opportunity to get paid to produce a monthly television show on our Comcast channel, or not Comcast, I'm sorry, a cable channel. It's Comcast here, it wasn't there. And so I'd go around the community, interview people, put together my own show once a month. And I tell you that because it can start right now for you. If you really love something, definitely pursue it. Be active, tell people about it, tell your teachers about it. And it can lead to your entire career path could start with you right now. Isn't that kind of cool? Yeah, I think so anyway. So that being said, I moved here to go to Florida Gulf Coast University, where I studied communications. I got my bachelor's in communications. I ended up working for the National Basketball Developmental League, doing sports marketing, had nothing to do with radio and TV at the time. And then I got the opportunity, we were in a recession, so it was a tough time in the community, to work at Parks and Recreation. So I met with the guy that ran that at the time, and he interviewed me, and I'm telling him that I love marketing, I love public relations, that's what my field is in, and you know, I love doing some small events and things like that. And he was like, well, I'd like you to come work for me, and you can plan skateboard competitions, which I knew nothing about at the time, do newsletters, help write stories about the Parks and Recreation Department, and that would get published in our local newspapers. And sometimes I even, you know, I'd work the front desk, I would clean the equipment, I would take the trash out. You know, we do all the things in the Parks and Rec department. Everyone pitches in. And then over time, the city manager at the time would see my articles in the paper. And every time he saw one, he would write, good job, or this is awesome, or whatnot. And he would send it over to me just to kind of say that I did a good job. And then a position became open at City Hall for community relations, and they interviewed me. I actually interviewed with Arlene and two of our other managers that are no longer with us now. And at that time, I came over, got to do that here, newsletter for the city, citywide, instead of just the Parks and Recreation Department. And when Arlene was promoted, I got the opportunity to take on the special events coordinator as well as the marketing and PR. So I got to learn from a great mentor. And since then, I was promoted to communications manager, director of communications, and then I was also given the ability to kind of oversee the facilities for major improvements. Along the way, I also got the really cool opportunity of developing my own department. So our department is the communications department. It oversees special events, IT, information technology, media relations, the website, now major facility improvements, so quite a variety of different areas. And I have two very talented individuals that are here. Carissa, she went to FGCU. She actually has her master's already, and she planned this event today for you. And also Logan, who just graduated with his bachelor's, and he helps all of our event organizers. He helps with all the events. He helped with this event today. He's picking up some things for IT already. Just a huge help for us in the department right now while we go through some transitions. And then Antonio, you'll see run around with a camera, and he's our multimedia consultant who we contract with. So we do a lot in this department, but we have a lot of fun. Do you guys have any questions? Okay.
All right, so we will go, I won't go too far back. We'll just say I'm from Michigan originally, okay? And I came here in 2009, okay? I grew up, look, man, I'll be honest, I grew up poor. I was in the foster care system, and, you know, I'm probably not the type of person that you would thought would be doing this type of stuff right now. The great thing about that is my district is Rosemary Park. Who knows where Rosemary Park is? Any of you guys? Your school's right there. You guys are right there. So that area, there's so many people in that area that are very similar to how I came up. You know, you don't have to have a lot of money in this country to do great things. You have to have work ethic. You have to work hard. You have to be honest. And you have to do a good job. And your body of work will speak for itself, and then you can do whatever it is you want to do. Now, with the city, I will tell you, I originally started because what is the biggest sport you would think in Bonita Springs? Bam, soccer. Okay, so there was a storm, 2000. What storm was this? Where the fence went down over at Marnie. Irma. So 2017, Irma, the Bonita Wildcats. You guys know the Bonita Wildcats? Okay. So their field, the fence went down over there. That's where they practice. Okay. That's a lot of those. That's people's aftercare. That's a lot of a community. Like a big piece of Bonita is soccer, and you have thousands of people who are part of that. So they went, 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. The fence is still down, but they didn't know what to do about it. They told me, and I went to the city council, and the mayor at the time was Peter Simmons, and he didn't know. He just didn't know. And I said, and I kind of in a smart way said, because he lived in Bonita Bay at the time, and I said, if this was in Bonita Bay, this would have been fixed a month ago. I was like, we have thousands of kids, and nobody can do it. All we got to do is fix a fence. And guess what? The city was there the next day. The next day. And the fence is going back up. And things are going back to normal. But all it took was understanding that if you decided to use your voice, you can change the process. So something as little as getting a fence back up was what gave me the confidence to be like, oh, you know what? In this pond, maybe I can get some things done. After that, I ran in 2016, and I lost by 21 votes to the fire chief, deputy fire chief, great guy. I'm good friends with him now, and he was my neighbor. We live 4 doors down from each other. Yeah, so think about that. I lost by that much, but you know what? I was at council the next week in the front row clapping for him, and am proud that he had won the seat. And then I got on committees. I got appointed to be on a committee that meets every 10 years, and it's called the Charter Review Commission. And that commission essentially goes through any issue that you have as a citizen. Maybe you want to have the city vote on it. You get that opportunity through here. Or if there's something that you've been trying to get done through the council, and for some reason the council has not been responsive to your wants or needs, you have the ability at that point to put an amendment on there that the whole citizenry will vote on. So it's a very cool committee. We're only 20 years old, so we've only done it twice. So I got to get on that committee, and I became the vice chair of that committee. And I got to participate in that process. We did a number of things, including term limits for the city of Bonita Springs, which we didn't have prior to that, which to me I think is a big deal. Term limits, if you don't understand what that is, essentially that means you get to serve for an amount of time, and then you're done. And then you can't run anymore to make room for more people to come up, right? So one of my best friends just got off council, Mike Gibson in District 5, and he was he was a victim of those term limits. I would have loved to see him for another 10 years, but he was happy that we did the right thing for the city. So I got to change policy as a citizen again. So I was like, wow, this is nice. And then we started the Outreach Committee, which is a committee that's active in the city right now. And it is, it started as a committee that essentially gives people who haven't traditionally felt they had a voice at the table. So people like when the Wildcats didn't know what to do because of the fence situation, they came to me. It gave all of those people a chance to form a group at the city where people could come and voice their grievances and have things taken care of. So does anybody know Cafe of Life? Cafe of Life? Okay. So does anybody know Michael down there at Cafe of Life? Glasses, real good guy. Michael's the head of that, right? So he's in Rosemary every day. He's down at Cafe of Life. He's the chairman this year of that committee now, because this was about 4 years ago, right? So Michael and Cafe of Life, great groups, they're all in here. I got on as the chairman of the first year of having the outreach committee, and then I ran for city council in a special election, and I won the seat, and then I went 9.5 months, and I was up again, and I won re-election, and I was, at the time, the youngest and the first Hispanic person that was ever elected to the city council. And we are now about 60,000 people, and we have one of the best trajectories of all the cities in the state of Florida, because you can afford to live here. We have one of the newest high schools. We have some of the best beaches. You have great access to Lee and Collier. Our crime rates have gone down for 10 years, and our real estate markets have continued to go up. So that's why people are trying to come here. So what I'm telling you, you guys being here in Bonita Springs right now, you guys are in a great spot, not only in the country, but in the state. And right now, even in this city, you guys are just a couple years away from seeing some cool things that are happening. We have a food truck park. It'll be 8 food trucks and a rooftop restaurant that will be coming in about a little bit over a year and a half, right downtown. We have a number of pretty cool things coming along the river, fire pits and all kinds of cool stuff. And we actually have a soccer field that's going to be coming in, a kids soccer field that's going to be coming in behind where the dog park is, if you know where the dog park is. On the back of that property, we're going to have kids and adult soccer fields. We're going to have lights. We're going to put a bathroom up over there. So if you've been to the dog park and there's no bathroom, now we're going to have bathrooms. We'll be able to have concession stand, all that stuff over there. So that backs up right into the end of Rosemary Drive and Bonita Drive. So right there. So we'll have dog park, soccer thing. We're going to have the food truck park. All this stuff is coming. So you guys are here at a cool time. So personally, what I do now is I run the. Who here knows who our United States Congressman is? Anyone? Come on, somebody's got to know. No? Okay. Congressman Byron Donalds. He is on leadership in Congress, and he's the first black congressman our district has ever had. And we actually run Collier County, Lee County, so it goes Marco Island all the way through Lee County up to Boca Grande. So all the cities in between, all of the federal issues that have to deal with the government go through our offices. And I'm the state director who deals with the staff in the Lee and the Collier and deals with the policy issues up here as far as water goes. So that's what I do when I'm not up here at City Council, which we were actually just up here not too long ago, last night. One night ago? Wednesday night? So I know, right? So, all right, so that's a little bit about me. I live right off Imperial and Terry, kind of by BSU, if you know where that is. Right by where those soccer fields are at, right? I've got a Doberman, 2 pit bulls. I've got a turtle, a 10-year-old, a fiance, and let's see what else. I really love Bonita Springs. We have so much great stuff going on down here. Oh, one last thing. When you go through downtown and you're looking, has anybody seen that little tower? So if you're going in the downtown area, like by the water, by the Imperial River, you're going to see those little cottages and stuff like that. There's also this big tower, okay? And you can also see it if you know where the bike shop is and things like that. That tower, this was one story that I forgot about how I got involved is this. That tower was saved the day it was going to come down. So that tower was voted by the council to get torn down and demolished, but it was the only Bonita Springs water tower that we had left. So I called the city manager at the time, rest his soul. His name's Carl, great guy. And I said, hey, what can we do? He goes, Jesse, it's coming down today. There's nothing you can do other than call the entire council and get a majority of them to call me back and say they want to delay the demolition. I said, how long do I have? He said, you have till noon. It's about 9 o'clock. He called me at 11:30. He said, well done. Tower's staying up. So when you go down there and you see that tower, that's the last remaining water tower in Bonita Springs. That was one of the additional catalysts that got me to run. Little things like that become big things before you know it. So that's how these are the type of things that you start to do, that you start to see. Does it matter? Yes, it does. And can you do something about it? Absolutely. So that's it.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I think that kind of reiterates that wherever you want to, if you like to stay with us, you can help officiate. Yeah. So that kind of shows you like the most interaction you'll most likely have with government is your local government, is your city and your county. Of course, there's opportunities at the federal and state, but at some point you'll probably need a permit for your garage door or your window or your roof. At some point you're going to run over a pothole and you're going to want to call us. And at some point you're going to use a park and you're going to have an idea or an inspiration of something, how you can make that better. So, all right, with that, I think we're going to start. Okay. I'm not sure they have.
I call this meeting to order. Can you rise for the pledge? Jeez.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Manager, can you call roll?
Councilmember Colton.
Here.
Councilmember Miley.
Here.
Councilmember Wendy.
Here.
Mayor Bella.
Here.
Councilmember John.
Here.
Councilmember Dylan.
Aye.
Councilmember Jacob.
Here.
Councilmember Morgan.
Here.
City Manager, can you explain the next item?
Mayor, Council, what we have before you is a discussion on drones and if the city should update its regulation to include drones.
Open to public comment.
Thank you. All right. So, we're talking about updating the drone policy, all right? Just in the city, but what you really should be thinking is the whole country. A month ago, or I don't know when, a big balloon was over Washington, D.C., all right? The balloon, accordingly, was not deadly. But what could have happened if it was? Washington, D.C. would have been on the ground. It would have been destroyed. And who was it? China. All right? But wait. How did the balloon get there so fast? You're not going to fly it all the way over the Pacific or the Atlantic just to get it to America. It has to be someone close. And they have to know about cold weather because it's really high up. And you know who's been really quiet about this? Canada. Canada is the leader of all of this. Little did we know, Canada is right next to us on our front doorstep, ready to attack at any moment. Also, Alaska, not even a part of our country anymore. They are traitors. Orbital death rays, ladies and gentlemen. Orbital death rays could be coming out of the sky from anywhere on these little tiny drones, and you don't even know it. Come on, guys. You gotta think smarter. Look. Also, fish from the sky, Saturday night. Fish, goldfish, dropping from all my windows. Who could have done it? I don't know. India. Alright? Lead producer of anything you need. Alright? Especially goldfish. Now, China and India are pretty good friends. So this is why I believe Canada, China, and India are the reasons why we cannot have drones anywhere in our country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I do not know what that was. So, as we all know, many drones have cameras for typically children, so they can fly it around the city and do who knows what. But how would you feel if you were in your backyard, who knows what? I don't know what you guys do. Maybe making pies for the 72 dogs you hide in your basement. I don't know. And you were doing this, and you want the privacy of that. But then a drone comes flying overhead, watching you and taking pictures, posting those pictures to the media. How would you like the whole entire country to know that you make pies for the 72 dogs that live in your basement? I certainly would not want people to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment.
Look, esteemed council members, I have come before you today to discuss this coveted topic of drones. We all know the conspiracy theories, but they are just theories. We don't know this. We need drones. You know why? Because I have a murder snail. My snail in the tank propped my fish against the wall, broke his tail, and then he couldn't swim up for food, and he died from starvation. You know how that could have been prevented? If drones came into my house and videotaped it all, sent it to me, and I could have rescued my fish. But no, now my snail has blood on his hands. Sherlock Holmes does not want to be responsible for this. He is a working class citizen, and he wants to be treated as such. He doesn't need privacy. We're going to be dictators now. We're going to send drones everywhere. And Canada, Canada can keep their goldfish. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment.
My mommy says we shouldn't have drones, so, yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Mei Wu, and I believe that we should not have drones watching over us because even though that they can make enforcements, who's going to know that there is a drone in the sky? Who can't just say that that's a bird and not a drone? But it could be just videotaping you. It could be in residence area, and it could be violating your privacy rights. So that is why I believe that we should not have drones.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tevin Oscar, and I certainly do believe that we should regulate drone behavior because when I was a little boy, I was brutally sliced by a drone. And you can see the bloody injury that landed me in the hospital for 7 weeks. I could not breathe. Everything was going dark. I could see the light. And drones cause all of that to happen. Literally, we cannot be safe with the drones. The drones might even be the cause of another world war. And if we do not stop the drones now, who knows what will happen? The human race will be eradicated. And everything will be preserved on the drones for aliens to see 1 billion years later. We are planning our own destruction because of the drones!
Thank you.
Hello. Oh my god, I can't even reach it. Oh, my name's Ethan. I agree with Stella. What if I'm just like sitting in my backyard with only my bathing suit on or nothing on? And then a drone just comes past my backyard and sees me with like that. I would not want that to happen. Like, would you?
I would not do that in the first place.
Thank you.
Hello, council. My name is Felicity. I am an influencer. I need drones. I need them to go everywhere so I can capture all of the juicy moments. How am I supposed to spy on people without drones? Do you really want to send my career into shambles? What am I supposed to do? What do you got to say to that? Are you going to ruin my life just so you don't want to be, like, seen skinny dipping? Like, that could get views, you know? Like, selfie pics. Like, God, just get on train. Come on.
Huh?
Thank you.
I question that.
Close public comment.
No, there's not.
Thank you. Councilmember Colton, do you have any questions or comments?
Should drones be allowed to fly anywhere in the city park, even indoors?
City manager.
Mayor and council.
Mayor and council.
That is a policy decision.
That is a policy decision.
We're here to ask you.
We're here to ask you
If you would like to be given
if you would like to be given
a set of draft regulations.
a set of draft regulations for your consideration.
Councilmember Mila, any comments or questions?
I believe that drones should not be regulated around the city because it involves our privacy and does not allow us to have our lives private.
Councilmember Wendy, any questions or comments?
What would be the price of this?
City manager.
I'm going to defer to the city attorney.
I'm going to defer to the city attorney.
Mayor and council.
Mayor and council,
Under the current contract
under the current contract
with the city attorney's office,
with the city attorney's office, drafting regulations is included in my annual contract. Should I need additional expertise, I would need to bring before you a contract amendment and a budget
for that additional consulting.
and for that additional different consulting.
Thank you. Any additional questions?
Could we hold a license
licensing program for the drones?
City manager?
Say it would be best
It would be best to review how other jurisdictions handle licensing, and we could give you our report on that so that you could review if you're interested.
Thank you. City Council John, any questions or comments?
I think they should be allowed like in city parks and places that is not that private, but not indoors because that could cause many injuries.
City Council Member Dylan, any questions or comments?
No. Actually, I do. I don't want any drones anywhere in the city.
Council Member Jacob, any questions or comments?
Yes, in fact, I do. I would like to know if, let's say, you have a pool in your backyard, and you go for a nice morning swim, and you somehow find a way to start drowning. And there's a drone nearby, and it hears you, and it could contact any law enforcement or 911 to perhaps save you.
Thank you. Council Member Morgan, any questions or comments?
Yes. If we're gonna allow drones in parks, should we keep them at a certain distance away from people in case they get hurt?
City Manager.
I'll defer to the city attorney. Mayor and council, you have insurance policies that protect the city on any liability within our parks. But we should address proposed distances from folks in any draft legislation.
Thank you. Is there any additional questions or comments?
Yes. Will the park be covering our expenses if we get injured or not?
City Manager.
I will defer that to the city attorney.
We should address any liability issues
We should address any liability issues
to the city's insurance carrier,
the Florida League of Cities.
Thank you. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I'd like to make a motion to permit drones from city parks.
Would anyone like to second that motion?
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? City Manager, can you call roll?
Councilmember Colton.
No.
Councilmember Milo.
No.
Councilmember Wendy.
No.
Councilmember Bella. Oh, Mayor Bella.
No.
Councilmember John.
No.
Councilmember Dylan.
No.
Councilmember Jacob.
No.
Councilmember Morgan.
No.
Is there any more motions?
Table the item. Table the item.
Now they have
Is that a motion?
No, it's Robert's Rules of Orders.
No, it's in Robert's orders.
City Attorney.
You would need to take immediate action on the request to table the item. It does require a vote of council.
City manager, can you take roll?
Councilmember Colton.
Aye.
Councilmember Mila.
Aye.
Councilmember Wendy.
Aye.
Mayor Bella.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Dylan.
Aye.
Councilmember Jacob.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Well done.